What is up, everybody? Cardio sessions, final episode here, guys. It's been a minute since I've done and gotten on the IG TV, since I've spoken to the camera. It's good to be back. The weather's beautiful. That kind of explains why I haven't really been on here. The last time I uploaded was in December. Winter was starting to hit, things were getting cold, and quite honestly, I wasn't doing this cutting thing anymore. The last few months I've been on a weight gaining journey. The end of my diet, I was about 168, 167 something at my lowest, and then we went all the way up to our highest weigh-in was around 184, but I was averaging about 178 average weigh-ins there. Put on a ton of strength, got myself back to normal, felt normal again, and now we're on our next mission. We're competing in a strength lifting contest. That's the next plan here. And I'm back on the diet again because I'm going to be competing in the lightweight division. It's an online competition through a smaller federation, and the lifts are only overhead press and conventional deadlift. But I want to wrap up this series, the cardio session series, and close out this final episode here where we kind of talk about the end stages of a diet. This is basically the stage that we don't really push many people to go into. We have one contest prep client. This is the final stage where you're pretty much getting photo shoot ready. You're trying to get ready for a bodybuilding show, physique show, or if you're a bikini model. This is where this lifestyle becomes unhealthy. This is the extreme. So I know a lot of people might be interested in hearing about what I went through, and kind of how I kind of pushed my body. And at this point, I started my diet at 225, and this is when I was like low 170s, kind of where I am now. But this was my first time kind of doing this, getting that low and pushing it that hard. How I went from, the low 170s into the 160s, and then I got ready for photo shoots, which I ended up doing 3 photo shoots, which I never actually uploaded or anything like that. I mean, I've uploaded a few pictures, but I haven't taken the time to really start even diving into those, because I have so much content from just the last year, and it's been crazy throughout this whole process. I have recorded everything. And I'm going to talk about, what I went through and where we are now as a company, and what kind of has happened. This is probably going to be a longer video. I just want to get on here and kind of update you guys on exactly what has happened, what has gone with this page, what has happened with Bandit, where are we right now, because it's been crazy. I never thought that I would be at this point. When I started uploading to Instagram a few years back, when I was, heavier, I was doing my bulk and everything. And, I just stuck to the plan, trusted the journey. And, now we're here. We're about to pass 100 people that joined Bandit. So I need to go back and count again, but I think we've closed in on 100 members. And I would have never thought that me and Gonzalo, would be living out this dream that we kind of were manifested when we were in undergrad, that hey, maybe one day we could be those guys who had a cool fitness brand that was changing the lives of many people. And at this point, it's a reality. It's sitting right here in my hand. Every day we wake up, me and Gonzalo, we're working, we're making moves to make this business not just an average online business. We want to be the best training business in the entire world, and we're not stopping until it is the best. And right now, I think we offer the best service in the entire world. But I want it to be a landslide. I want people to go on the internet, and when they look up online fitness, it comes to our brand. And I'm not gonna stop, and Gonzalo's just as evenly committed until we have that company. So this kind of ties into the transformation and why I kind of pushed it as hard as I did. And what I kind of went through. At this point in the game, if you're trying to push it, right, you already have a six-pack and you're trying to get like, basically this is like Instagram ready, you know what I mean? Like you want to be just diced under 8% body fat. Under 8% body fat. This is not maintainable. It's not sustainable. This is a dip in, dip out kind of deal. You're only in it for a couple weeks, or a couple, usually just one day, and then you're back out. Because by the end of this, you binge. You can't. It's not sustainable. So, what you see on Instagram, which is why we're making this influencer campaign on our Bandit page. Our first campaign is dedicated to influencers, how they manipulate you, how the Instagram image isn't 100% reality, right? The things that you see on this platform and on Instagram, on social media in terms of fitness, it's not by any means true. Most of it's actually very false. It's like illusion. It's basically a big illusion that is just geared to getting your insights, getting your engagements, and at the end of the day, boosting the dollars that enter these social media influencers' pockets. So, you know, Bandit is about coming out with the truth, guys, telling you what's the reality behind this. Gonzalo and I both have over a decade of experience combined working in the gyms. He's been working out for about 12 years, 10 to 12 years, I believe. I've been in the gym 7 years now. And that's what you don't see behind these images, right? You don't see the years of time, the years learning, the years of experimenting with different diets, failing, going back to the drawing board, falling off, binging, having disorders, whatever you may see. You don't see all of this on Instagram. You just see the perfect image. That was a dip in, dip out thing. That was a one-day thing. They take a bunch of images that one day and they recycle them the whole year, and that's it. And you can see them in person, they're 30 pounds heavier. So that's what that Bandit campaign is kind of geared to. It's about influencers and this whole industry, because at the end of the day, the industry is not, you know, it's supposed to be about fitness, but, you know, a lot of it is not 100% true, like majority of everything else we see in the world, right? There's a lot of manipulation that goes on in terms of editing software, all kinds of stuff. And if you want to check all that out, our Bandit, for example, our Bandit first YouTube video just went out. You can go to our Bandit page, click the YouTube link. You can go to Bandit Rising, youtube.com. We're going to be uploading more on that page. So that kind of goes back into why this is the last episode here, because I'm taking my videos and I'm going to start putting these kinds of videos on the Bandit page. There's no point for me to be publishing like this on my Elite Pete page anymore. Right now, Bandit is what we're both 100% tied to. Me, Gonzalo, we have an entire team. Our team is the strongest it's ever been. It's the biggest it's ever been. We've got over 20 people active right now, and it's busy. And I'm so grateful for that. And we want to continue building that. We want to continue getting results. These videos are going to be more geared towards getting results, and that's what it's going to be. So just to give you an idea of like what my day-to-day calories were in my diet, at this point I was basically carb cycling. So it would consist of like a couple low carb days, a medium carb day, and then a high carb day to get me back to normal. So the way I would do it is the low carb days would be very low in carbohydrates. I would do a couple of those back to back, then bump it a little bit, usually during my workout days. And then when I couldn't take it anymore, I would have a high carb day or refeed, which at this point in the game, I think refeeds are pretty much essential. Obviously, if you're about to step on a stage, you don't really get that kind of option because you're trying to get as lean as you possibly can so that you can win a competition. So that's even a little bit more unhealthy than what I did, but basically you're depleting your body of all nutrients at this point. Like there's a depletion stage that you kind of go through, and that's actually when your physique ends up looking the worst. You deprive yourself of all your carbohydrates, you're completely flat, you have absolutely no energy. And then what you end up doing is like the day before the shoot, a couple of days before the shoot, that's when you reintroduce the carbs, and then you, what they call it is a peak. So you peak, and then that's when you come into the show or your photo shoot and your veins are looking all veiny, you look dry because you know, you've gone through this basically week of where you eliminate carbs. Likely you did some water manipulation too, You play with your sodium. There are certain things that you can take to the next level that can make you look drastically different for one day. So right now we'll just talk a little bit about kind of how my calories were. I was eating, like I said, about 1,500 calories maybe a day. Some days were 1,200. Some days were 1,600. Some days were 1,800. At this point, like, I would say the average was about 1,600 or so, 1,500, 1,600. So for a guy who's 6'2", I mean, that's low, guys. That's ridiculously low. Right now I'm dieting at about 2,000 calories. So just realize that if you do want to do this right, and if you've been dieting for 8 months, the reason why it was so low for me was because I was dieting for such a long time. If you give yourself a maintenance break, you come off of the diet for a few months, your metabolism will pick back up, which is what I just did recently. And then when you diet again, you get to diet with significantly more calories. So I ran that, guys, like that lifestyle for a couple months, guys. And to be honest with you, I was alone for a long time. It was probably the most alone I ever was, to be honest. Like I went from being the social chair of my class to always having things to do on the weekend with friends, to just me. There was no one else. It was just me, Gonzalo, Bandit, and we were building. You know, I lost friends, I lost relationships, and obviously, like, I still have my homies that, like, they understood exactly what I was doing, and like, but when you do something like this, and you know, you're first starting out a business, you realize real quickly who's there to support you in the long run. You learn a couple hard lessons, and I think until you kind of, I don't know if everyone here, you know, that's in them to start a business, but like you learn real quickly who supports you and who doesn't support you whenever you go about and decide that, hey, you want to do your own thing. You combine that with the fitness. I was every single day, guys, I woke up and I was locked in. It was all about me. And you know, it's crazy. I look back at this and was like, wow, like, I don't know how I like lived like this for so long, but like, do I regret it at all? No, I don't regret it, because I'm thankful for how far we've come with everything right now. Like, we literally have someone on our team who's competing. We're in talking with another person who may be competing. Like, we have people on the team now, like, doing what me and Gonzalo went through. So like, I'm not the kind of coach who's going to be like, you should do this, and I haven't done it. What kind of coach are you like that? It's like being a doctor, right? You're a doctor, you're a medical doctor, but you're actually unhealthy. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of medical doctor are you? Like, you know, if you can't walk the walk, you have no right to put anyone else through it. You have to walk the walk. And that's what I believe about being a bandit. It's like, you wanna do something, you gotta walk the walk. And that's it. I think that speaks so much more than, you know, you could look at a textbook all day. And this is coming from someone who's a medical, I guess, you know, in the medical field. I'm studying to become a doctorate in physical therapy. You could look at a textbook all day, but until you walk the walk, it doesn't mean anything, in my opinion, right? So I wanted to walk the walk. I wasn't gonna, you know, one day put someone on a contest prep, put someone on a photo shoot if I couldn't do it myself. I wanted to see how hard I could push my body. Something about me and the way I am, I like pushing my body hard. I did the same thing with my bulk. I went way too up. I shouldn't have gone that far, but yeah, that's kind of what happened there. So, you know, we're gonna kind of diverge topics, right? Because you push that caloric deficit for a long time, and then eventually, right, you get as lean as you possibly can, and then it's time to do the peak week, right? So peak week's that's a whole nother beast of its own, because this is where things, now, if it was hell before, now it's really hell. So here's how peak week kind of goes. This is where, like, if you want to look, you know, your actors, things like that, they have movies and things like that, they want to like look crazy for one day on set kind of situation. They do these peaks, these Hollywood actors and everything. Same with, you know, your influencers when they step on stage, everything. So way it kind of works, after depleting your carbohydrates for a good amount of time, you do one final deplete where it's all the whole thing, pretty much zero carbs. You work all the way down to zero, and you front load a ton of water as well. And you also remove your sodium. So what does this do? Water follows sodium. So if you're eating a lot of sodium, you're going to be holding a lot of water. That's going to make you look puffy, right? So what you can do is you remove the sodium and you take in more water during your peak week. So this is the final prep, the final week before you kind of have your contest or your shoot or whatever. And water naturally on its own, if you drink enough, is a diuretic. So you'll put like 1 to 2 gallons of water, and you kind of level this up. Like you'll start at half a gallon day 1, day 2 you maybe go up to a gallon, day 3 you're at a gallon, day 4 a gallon and a half, day 5 a gallon and a half, day 6 you're at 2 gallons. And then you pull away the water completely, and you have no salt either. So your body's now used to drinking this crazy amount of water. You know, you work it up to 2 gallons a day, all of a sudden you pull it away, your body still is like, hey, he's going to be drinking a ton of water, so you're still peeing like a ton of water out. So next thing you know, you've got a naturally induced diuretic. You're dropping a ton of water, and the added effect of no salt, now your body's holding no water. The day of the meet, the night before the meet, you finally carb back up again. You get all the glucose back into your body. It converts to glycogen and goes straight into your muscles. And that's when you look crazy. And you see these crazy people on stage where they're so lean and their muscles look so full, and it creates this big illusion, right? But in reality, it's a dip in, dip out thing, guys. It's not sustainable. After the show, everyone goes and binges. Some people will binge for weeks on end. In my case, I had a plan already set up so that was not going to happen. If you know your foods really well, if you know what you're doing, you can set yourself up with a reverse diet, and you have to know your foods. You got to have the right foods. You have to have the foods. You have to be able to satisfy your cravings. Or if you get to this point and you have no other plan to follow up with this diet, you can easily gain 30 pounds in 1 to 2 weeks. Easily. Gonzalo's done it before. Easy. And you know, that comes with a whole nother list of side effects, like edema, swelling. It puts extra pressure on your heart. Guys, these are things that you don't see on Instagram, right? You don't see the medical side of this. You just see the shreds. And that's why I get so kind of like flustered when it's like, that's all people want to see, but like people don't actually realize what goes into it, right? You know, and that's where we're kind of trying to move. Like I want to keep this page more about evidence, more about science. But unfortunately, Instagram only does well when you post pictures of yourself shredded as hell, it makes no sense. It's like what people want, which sure, I mean, it gives the people what they want. I see why it creates problems though. And you know, it's like these influencers, it's like a ripple effect, because they're like, well, I want to grow my business. I want my page to get bigger. And the only way I get likes and engagements is if I use these ridiculous, crazy photos that I only had one day of the year. So now their whole page is ridiculous photos, but is only one day out of 365. Now you set up an illusion where it's like you can look like this all year round. And now you have these consumers, you know, the followers of the page looking at the page being like, hey, this is actually attainable. If he can do it, I can do it too. He's posting all the time of him looking like this, so why can't I do it? And that's where it creates a big problem. It creates a lot of problems. We see a lot of people join the team, and you know, they have these image issues or ideas of what is actually attainable. And I think a lot of people don't really understand about what goes into making these videos and these posts, because like you only see that 1 second. And here's the thing, guys, like I really thought about making this video. Like I didn't know if I wanted to talk about how, you know, kind of dark and real this can get, like if you're just doing this, you know, just to push it as hard as you can to step on a stage. But so many people just don't have any idea of what goes into it. They think it's just like, it's normal, like it should be just something that you could do. And to be honest, I don't think many people should even dabble with this. Like this is terrible, to be honest. Like, you know, like unless you have a real intrinsic reason. And that goes back to my main point. Like this is something that you gotta want, guys. And you know, for what we're doing right now, it supports everything I'm doing. And it ties back into that, you know, that thing, right? If you want to sell on Instagram, you want to have a fitness business, you got to walk the walk. And unfortunately, I had to walk the walk in order to get to where we are today. So, you know, I wanted to dive into, you know, my story kind of close up the episode with some real stuff here, guys, and let you know what it's like. So we had to break up the episode into a couple segments because it's getting long and had a lot of stuff going on, but we're gonna close this thing up here, guys. If you've been watching from the start, all episodes, thank you so much. Feel free to follow me on all platforms. You can go to my bio. We're everywhere now, so I just made my TikTok actually today. We're gonna be posting everywhere. Our Bandit YouTube page is gonna be having more videos like this because at the end of the day, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get on this platform to connect with people, to communicate with people, to give them the real truth, the education behind all this. Like, it's awesome. Like, you can get on Instagram and put a shirtless picture and get a ton of likes, but like, are you actually helping anyone? Are you really doing anything for people like that? Or are you just misguiding them? So, you know, the thing with what we do at Bandit, we're trying to get the real information out there, right? There's a lot of misinformation on fitness, on nutrition, and even in the world. You would be surprised, honestly. Even medical doctors, they don't really understand how to lose weight. It's really not that complicated, guys. You know, the internet makes it a lot harder than it really is. You know, if you're just trying to lose a little bit of weight, I recommend going back through all the episodes and watching, or you could just message me and get on the service. We're getting results with people across the world. It doesn't have to be that complicated, guys. If you think to lose weight, you have to do the stuff that I talked about on this episode, that's completely misguided. You won't make it 30 days with this. So like, this is the end of a diet, right? So the advice that's given in this episode specifically is when you're already, you know, like you're lean already, you're 10% body fat, and now you want to get under 8%. So for someone who's got 30, 40, 50 pounds, please don't start here because you're not going to make it anywhere with this approach. You got to go back to the beginning and rewatch everything, guys. And that's what's going to get you majority of the weight loss. So honestly, I can't believe, you know, we made it to the end of this. Like, it's super exciting. And the page that everything's that we've kind of put out the last year, everything's kind of just growing. And, you know, we're committed to this thing slow. Like, you know, the fitness thing took about 10 years, right? You know, you only see 1 second on Instagram, but I've been doing this fitness thing now. I've been in the gym 7 years, and then I did the training stuff with tennis. That was probably another 15 years. So I've been active my whole life, guys. And we're committed to that approach with our business. Things are going to be moving slow, and, you know, we enjoy that. And that's kind of, you know, that's kind of why I like fitness. You know, it's like, at the end of the day, if you put in the work and you keep going at it, eventually you'll get somewhere with it. And that's what's cool about it. But yeah, guys, thank you so much if you made it to the end here, and have an awesome day.